Hi everybody. Here are the math lessons we're going to do. I'm combining A3 and 4 variables and evaluate expressions together. First of all, we have some definitions. When we talk about evaluating expressions, we should be on the same page as to what that means. To evaluate, the root word is value. So we're finding the value of something. So when we evaluate, we find the value of that. And in this case, it's an expression. It's a math phrase, not an equation. There's no equal sign with an expression. So an expression could look like this: 3x plus 4. There's no equal sign. It's just an expression. Okay, so if you need to pause the video to write down those definitions, you can. I'm going to give you 8 teaching problems in this video that I want you to take down, and you have them in your notes below this. So the directions say evaluate, find the value of, when A equals 2 and B equals -6. So for our situation, A is going to equal 2 and B is going to equal -6. So those are the 4 problems that we have, and so what we're going to do is substitute in for each. So for A plus B, number 1, we will do 2 plus -6. A is 2, B is -6. We're plugging in, finding the value of. And so now it's just doing the math that we know how to do, and it becomes an integer problem with an answer of -4. Okay? Now we have AB. Guys and girls, if you don't know this, A and B, A times B is what that means when they're next to each other. So 2 times -6, A times B, 2 times -6, -12 for number 2. Number 3, B divided by A. So -6 divided by 2, it's an integer problem, -3. And then B minus A, -6 minus 2, again, it's an integer problem. The signs are the same, add the numerals, keep the same sign, so that we have -8. And there's our answer. So this involves the 4 basic operations of evaluating an expression, substituting in, and doing the math. Rarely are they this easy, but this gives the basics of the situation. Okay, so those are the first 4, pretty easy. The next 4 are a little bit more complicated. So x is equal to 3, y is equal to 5. While I'm writing these down, if you want to try them on the paper to see if you would get the same thing I get, why don't you try them while I'm writing these down? Okay, So those are the next four teaching problems that we have. And for all of them, x is going to equal 5 and y is going to equal 3. And so we will plug in and we'll go from there. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to plug in and make sure you've substituted correctly. That x, you've used the 3, and that you're squaring it times the 5. Sometimes the mistakes that students make will be that they substitute them in the wrong way. They put the 5 here or the 3 there. You need to be careful on that. So 3 squared is 9 times 5. And our answer is 45. 2x plus 3y. Substituting in. So now we can multiply like this. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. So we get 21 following that substitution. I hope that you're writing this down, following it down the ladder, as I call it. When you're working in class or at home on these, I'm hoping that you go back and check if you have some questions on any of them. Okay, so that's always an important thing to do. Okay, number 7, 2y squared minus 3x. 2 times y squared minus 3 times 3. Order of operations. We've done that already. You've already cleared the hurdle of passing that. 5 squared is 25. 2 times 25 is 50. 50 minus 9 is 41. So there's that one. And we have one more left. It involves a little division here. 2xy over y. So 2 times 3 times 5 all over y, which is 5. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. And we get 6. Okay? So what's going to happen now is that you have a double-sided paper that has a lot of this practice on it. Okay? So what I'm going to want you to do is to go through, practice them, check your answers. If you get a wrong answer, don't just write the new answer in. Go back and see what's the cause of your mistake. If you need some help, check in with somebody on that. And so that you can try to figure out if there are any mistakes, because we're going to need this before we get into collecting like terms. All right, you guys, good luck.